Yes, Spurs fans, we are back, and we have to talk about the weekend. We have to talk about that Forest performance because I think Thomas Frank was going into that weekend off of a little bit of momentum. I, for one, as a happy clapper, was trying to buy into it, was trying to sort of believe that maybe things were starting to turn around, and it probably couldn't have gone any worse, really, in that game. Granted, though, I will say, I mean, might be controversial opinion. I think individually from all the players, that was probably one of their worst ever performances I had seen just from them individually. They couldn't get a first touch right. They couldn't get a pass right. They couldn't even string together, let alone a 1-2. They couldn't even hit 5-yard passes. But it feels like we've been here far too many times this season where we have seen really abject and really awful performances. And that's where I'm not going to really then just say, oh, it's all on the players type of thing. I feel like this game really didn't do them any favors whatsoever. I don't think they can hide at all from the criticism and from the blame, but maybe there have been already now too many performances where maybe they've been let down by tactics. Maybe they've been let down by the training. Maybe it's the instructions and other elements as well. So that's what makes that game, I think, a bit of a funny one for me. Of course, you heard Dave and I's thoughts, post match on the watch along. I think we tried to drive home that point that the players, should not be exempt from any criticism, on that weekend. But there have been others where maybe you could say they could, where they were actually maybe just let down by the manager, really. So it's a tough one. And Frank really did kind of need a good performance again on the weekend, Dave, and he definitely did not get one.
No, he didn't. And look, sort of yesterday I was of the opinion, it's really a day to go at the players. I think they really let down Thomas Frank. I think they really let down the fans. It was a day to sort of try and show that we had maybe turned a corner, and for every single one of them to put in a stinker, I mean, says everything about it. On a day like that, it really doesn't matter what manager you have in charge, who's in the dugout. It really doesn't matter on a day like that. They're all going to be let down. You could have Guardiola in there on a day like yesterday, and we'd end up suffering the same fate when you can't execute the basics of football. But I wouldn't say that's been, the problem for the large part of this season. I think I've tried to highlight at the start of the season, too much rotation going on way too early. I think the chopping and changing of tactics as well, and stuff like that, I just don't think has helped. And I think that's been a larger part of the problem this season. And, look, I'm not sitting here saying, I'm Frank out at all cost. At the end of the day, I think the writing is on the wall. I just know the Spurs fan base, they will not tolerate more performances like this moving forward. And even if the players can't get going and people do recognize the players as part of the problem, which I think is good, because I think last year it was all pinned on one person, whereas I think this year, people are starting to maybe see a little bit more that there are bigger parts of the problem than just the manager. But I think, again, you look around at what's out there that's really available to come in now. You would argue not a lot. You would argue maybe getting this to the summer, as bad as it is, trying to get it to the summer where there's a managerial merry-go-round because of World Cup. You've got people like Poch, Nagelsmann and all that will come on the market. You've also got Glasner probably leaving Palace at the end of the summer. His contract is up. Silva leaving Fulham and managers like that. So there'll be a massive merry-go-round, come the summer. So I just wonder, is the plan internally to maybe get this to the summer and maybe make a switch then and go in a different direction? But to be honest with you, I think at Tottenham, we put too much on the manager and allow them almost to dictate too much at this football club in terms of the style of play. Upon reflection on yesterday and, listening to a lot of opinions around the place and stuff like that, where I sort of fall now is, I think the club now need to identify what way they want this football club to be represented on the pitch, and I think, when you look at the Spurs fans, that is more of an attacking brand of football. And then I think the simple solution after that then is to buy players that suit that style and keep bringing in managers that suit that style. And I think, therefore, will solve a lot of your problems at Tottenham moving forward, where you don't have this sort of merry-go-round. Because right now, what you've got is a director of football buying the players and the manager dictating the style of play, and it's not really matching up. And we're seeing that now unfold nearly every single season. It can't keep happening. So I think the real way moving forward is the club really have to bring their identity to the table. This is what we want to be on the football pitch. A bit like what Man City done when they came in at Man City. This is the way we're going to be. This is what we are. This is the way we're going to play. And we're going to bring in players to sort of implement that and coaches along the way to play a certain brand. And I think Tottenham could do like that. You look at Brentford, you look at Brighton. They do that. And I think it's a model that Spurs probably need to adapt so that we don't have this high player turnover all the time. We're not sitting here arguing about more flops every single season despite big money being spent. And same with managers. I think that would really solve a lot of our problems. And that's where I'm at. And Look, do I think Frank is the right guy for that? Do I want to throw more money at and build a team in his image and his style of play? I don't really want that for my football club. And to be honest with you, I thought Ange broke all the records last year in terms of bad stats for Tottenham. I didn't think there was any left out there. It's now a worst start to a Premier League season in 17 years. So somehow Frank managed to find one and brank it. And I understand the clamour to sit down and really back and get behind the manager. But for me personally, he's not the guy for me. I think, I understand it, and I think it is a good thing to have that we do want to now get unanimously behind a manager. But I think it's got to be the right manager that not only inspires the fan base, inspires the board, but also inspires the the players. And at the end of the day, that goes stripping back to what managers were always good at. The good managers could always inspire the board to get more out of them, inspire the players to get more out of them, and drag the fans along the way and believe. There's managers out there that we can go and get, maybe come the summer that can do that. And I think that's when maybe we should pivot. But despite me not thinking Frank is the right guy, I'm not at the point where it's anybody but Frank. I think we've done that with Ange Postecoglou, and we sleepwalk into disaster with Thomas Frank because of it.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with a lot of that. I would just say maybe that day against Forest felt like one of those sort of bad day at the office from every type of player sort of performance, but I just don't know how often you can give that excuse really in a season, and I think there have been plenty of other performances where you wouldn't know if it was really bad day at the office, felt more it was actually training related, manager related, and instruction related, tactics related, if you ask me. And so that's where I'm kind of like, I don't really have that long of a leash then of excuses then, for the manager, as much as I do feel like you say, he probably was let down, I think, over the weekend. But let's get into it. We're going to greet some people in the chat, and then we'll get the show underway. We have some people who have been waiting very patiently, of course, and are very, very generous.
Ready to go.
A lot of opinions ready to go. Very generous members of the channel. Adrian Shoka, I'm seeing in the chat. Logan THFC, big up to you guys. Tom Lowry's in here as well. I think this is Sean Daniel saying, good day from Barbados. Wanted to get in a comment earlier. Our squad was good enough to win a Europa League Cup last year, so I won't defend Frank saying this squad is not good enough to be Forest. I have a question on this. Dave and I have, had to make these conversations a lot this season about there are people who have come out and said, oh, I would sell 15, 16 of these players, or, we're not even a better squad than Fulham, type of statements. And I just, as much as I am happy to, berate the players for terrible performances like that over the weekend that are unacceptable, I firmly believe that they are a lot better than how they've been playing recently. And I don't think that is as much down to them. I think it is down to, for whatever reason, what's been done on the training ground, and also what might be happening before the games as well. Wayne Bonner, always good to see you. I'm done with Frank. Subs, same times, every game, like for like, do nothing to improve the performances or the system. Yeah, I think the substitutions was maybe a bad moment.
I actually have a different opinion on them. I changed my opinion. Yesterday, I sort of just said, look, it really didn't matter what subs he made on the day. But the more I think about it, was he actually shutting up shop and sort of like trying damage limitation?
Could be.
And sort of surrender at that point by bringing them guys on rather than actually trying to change it up front.
Could
sort of changed my opinion on that a little bit. It's angered me a little bit more. I had time to do it.
I think that almost angered people more than actual performance, in some fans' cases, from what I could tell online. Ghosted London, appreciate your support as a member. Big up to Dan Berbatov as well, Bulgarian Smoker, Tom THFC as well. MKP, good to see you.
Good to see you, buddy.
William Webb, big up, guys. Hope everyone has settled down and relaxed after the weekend and result onward and upward. I think this is where people who have waited very patiently get to get their feelings out and their opinions out, on the platform, William Webb. Maybe Dave and I have had maybe more of a time to think about it, than maybe others. I think others are preparing themselves to really unleash here. So get ready. Chris is in here. We also have the likes of Hoddle and Waddle, great name. Pretty sure we have a whole season of this. It's unlikely he's going anywhere for now. I was Frank in, but I think it's just not working for him. I think that's very fair, very balanced. A lot of people are in that boat. I've noticed that we're Frank in from the get-go, and they're just kind of now holding their hands up saying, listen, I don't really know what's happening here. This is just not acceptable, really. And I've seen a lot of fans sort of come out and say that, which, is fair. They're just being honest then. Shemi Tan, always good to see you. Hey, Jack and Dave, hope you're both well. The night after that shocking game, but should be surprised that we play like that. Bournemouth, Wolves, Arsenal, Chelsea, now Forest, managers or players to blame. Yeah, that's the thing where I'm at, Shem. I think we've had too many of these performances by this stage and results like this by this stage, where like you can just sort of chalk it up as a bad day at the office, type of thing. I think you can only use that excuse so many times. Dropkick your teacher saying we should have either brought in a guy that has a history of success, or at the very least a guy that has shown he could win things but needed better players that would have helped him. to get over the line. I'll just quickly add, then I'll let Dave get in on this. Artist I have a question on this, and we'll probably bring it up hopefully today, if not during a panel show this week. I think what Spurs probably needed to do, with the benefit of hindsight, not sure if I said it at the time, but I think what Spurs needed to do is that even if Postecoglou wasn't the right guy or wasn't the right manager, we should have gone after someone who I think still employed and still had a similar style of play so that Spurs can build this culture and identity of playing a certain brand of football where we don't fear the opposition. We do look to sort of take the game to them. We do look to sort of impress and excite fans. I think by now flipping back towards a more pragmatic defensive manager, we kind of did what we've done before when we went from Pochettino to Mourinho and then went down that Nuno door and everything like that. Like Spurs, for whatever reason, kind of like to chop and change and also chop and change the playing styles. And I think that's also kind of sort of let us down this season, to be honest. So, but Dave, yeah, anything on what Artist T's had to say here? Appreciate the support, man.
Yeah, no, I think that's where we made the wrong decision in the summer. Look, I was very unpopular at the time when I sort of highlighted that, and I felt very let down by the appointment. I didn't think it was a manager that has, history on his CV of success. And I thought we could have made a better fist of it in the summer in terms of, you practically got the whole world open to you. Surely you can find somebody to come in, that has more of a reputation than Thomas Frank. Everyone's, goes on like what Thomas Frank has done at Brentford is magnificent. I posed the question at the time. How much of it is actually down to the recruitment model and that actually being the main driver behind Brentford and their sustained, relative success for them in the Premier League compared to how good Thomas Frank is? Because, I'm not being funny, but I've seen greater achievements for teams that have come up, and done more in the Premier League than just managed survival sort of a lot of the times in the bottom half of the Premier League. Pochettino came up with Southampton. Look what he done there. You look at Nuno at Wolves, for instance. He made a better fist of it with them, coming up and stuff like that than what Frank did with Brentford. For instance, you look at Sunderland right now. You know what I mean? Prime example. Whether they continue that or not is another story. But, I've seen this repeat with teams coming up where managers have made a better go of it and a better fist of it, with relegated teams or smaller clubs than what I've seen from Frank at Brentford. And I worried at the time that it was Andrew riled up the fans so much with what he was saying and stuff like that. And, the 17th position didn't help. That was almost anybody will do but Ange Postecoglou. And we cannot make the same mistake now. We just cannot make the same mistake now. The next appointment has to be the right appointment. I warned a few years ago, you keep chopping and changing managers and you keep changing managers at the rate we are. That's what relegation clubs do. And when you lose Kane and Son, which was on the horizon, we're going to be smack bang in massive trouble. So the next one has to be absolutely spot on, Artist T.
Yeah, generous, man. Appreciate you. Alpesh Patel, always good to see you in the house. He's saying that Frank can't seem to manage top players. El Dante say, big up Jack and Dave. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for the support, El Dante, as a member. Shawnee Hurl, good to see you, Sean. Hey, boys, we're having our own Potter at Chelsea moment. No obvious replacement. Thomas owes us 40-point survival tally and review at the end of the season. I think Dave, kind of was worried about this. With you could sort of see like with Graham Potter, he was given so much praise, a lot of love, kind of a bit like Thomas Frank, really, where he was sort of just universally appreciated and, kind of recognized in the Premier League, made that step up to Chelsea, and then wasn't really able to kick on, wasn't able to inspire the players, wasn't really able to handle the pressure. We saw how much he was cracking, I think, during those press conferences. He looked like a very rattled figure, and he wasn't able to recover since then. I think Thomas Frank, maybe to his benefit, does a little bit better than the press conferences than maybe someone like a Graham Potter does. But I think what we're seeing is that he's not really able to, I've used the word evolve, maybe adapt is another word for it, but he's not been able to evolve his football, it looks like, from Brentford to a bigger club like Spurs. And I think he's now suffering because of it. But this is what happens when you hire a mid-table manager. You're kind of taking that risk that you think they're going to sort of evolve things, but maybe they're not. Maybe they are just sort of better meant for mid-table type of clubs, really. Could be the case. No disrespect towards them.
Look, and I think there's countless examples of that. I think, managers that play a certain way at a small club, like Vincent Kompany at Burnley, didn't waver. I know it didn't yield results. Look what he's gone on to do at Bayern Munich. You can almost replicate that at a big club because you've shown that you can do that at a smaller club. Pochettino was the same at Southampton. Came in, replicated Spurs. They didn't have to adapt too much. They were already of that mindset, playing that way. It's a much more bigger jump for a manager to sort of change his style of football. That's why Nuno didn't work out at Tottenham, for instance, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Artisty just saying that despite Ange's trophies, we need a guy with a history of success. Sounds like Artist just wants a guy that will win trophies. Fair play. And then he's added this in here, and then I think we're going to get the people in here as quick as we can. We brought in a guy like Frank at the wrong time. It should have been the season after Conte, not where we needed to push on. We have gone backwards. I don't want to live too much in the past, but one of my biggest frustrations is that when we did shift to the Conte Mourinho era, that was one of the eras where I felt like we showed some of the least investment, and now under different managers that maybe were a bit more of a risk. I think we've given more investment too. I think we gave a lot of money to Frank. We gave a lot of money at the end of the day to Ange Postecoglou, whether you think the signings were good ones or not. We did spend a lot of money during his time. It felt like during Mourinho and Conte, for whatever reason, we sort of were being cheap, skates about it. And that's kind of the frustrating bit, is that maybe that was the time to actually push the boat out on a bunch of signings and high quality players. But the past is the past, I guess. Maybe I'm just being a
I'd
little bit
also argue,
defeatist about it.
I'd also argue, I think, as fans, we probably should have shown them they were the managers. We should have shown more patience to,
Right.
and given time to work it out. And, we tried to point this out at the time. And the reason why is because they've shown at previous clubs, given them that time, they will bring success doing it their way. That's when we should have been patient. Now we're sitting here trying to be patient under the wrong guys. We tried it under Ange. Now we're trying it under Frank. Just doing it under the wrong guys.
Yeah. And then Rohan out in Norway, big up to you, my friend. Member for 30 months. Really generous support, my friend. Just sending some love. Hopefully you enjoy the show, Rohan. And thanks for being with us for a long time, man. Very, very appreciative. But let's bring the people in here.
Yeah.
I've been waffling long enough at this point. We have Brad back. We have Eugene back. We have, of course, the old general is making almost like a fifth or a sixth appearance in a row here, which is lovely to see. And, of course, some of the other regulars, you absolute legends. I'm going to go to Brad because I know it's been a long time, Brad. I mean, we're going to have so much to discuss today, but what was your overall reaction from that defeat? Was it a bad day at the office, or is this a huge warning sign that maybe something is fundamentally wrong here?
I just found that people I've been defending 2 weeks ago, I've stopped defending now. If you go through the whole team, we need a new goalkeeper. I think Vicario is too much of a risk now. There's too many goals that we're conceding with his mistakes. I felt really sorry for Archie Gray. Archie Gray has done pretty well, and I think he should never have been given that ball. And it comes down to how do you play out from the back. If you're going to play out from the back, play it to your fullbacks that are out wide, and if they're getting closed down, don't give it back to the goalkeeper. Just pump it up the pitch. Don't play the ball to the person who's standing on the penalty arc, because if you lose those balls in those three areas, you're in trouble. If you boot it up the pitch and you lose the ball, you're not so much trouble. So that's one thing. Jed Spence, I think, is a very good player, but he's not a left back. He's not a left back. He bombs along that left wing. He stops, comes in on his right-hand side. The whole momentum of the attack breaks down. Kudos is starting to annoy me now. How many times we see Kudos? He takes his player on, he gets in that position, and he either beats him again, or the whole attack breaks down, and it probably ends up back with the keeper again. So there's all these things that I was watching yesterday that we just weren't doing. Tottenham has to play, and when Forest did it, they attacked quickly, and we saw what the result was. It's just I don't know. Thomas Frank again. I honestly don't know. I was worried about him when we first appointed him because I thought we might become a little bit defensive, but I thought, okay, his Brentford teams in the league, in the Championship, were attacking, so I thought, I'll give him a chance. I don't think he should be sacked because I think we're just doing what we've done every season when things go wrong. We've become a bit of a laughing stock. I don't really see the point. There's no one ready to come in. We've done it. We did it with so many managers. But in the summer, what David was saying earlier, yeah, that'll be the time where you will get a lot of managers available at World Cup time, including probably Pochettino. I'm not saying I'm yes or no for having him back, because sometimes when you come back, it doesn't always work. But I don't see the point in sacking Frank at the moment. And also, I do like to give a manager a chance, like a season, to see where we end up. With Postecoglou, his first season, we started off great. Well, it's the best thing since sliced bread. Went in a big hole. I'll get rid of him. And then we ended up fifth, which wasn't too bad. So, yeah, I don't see the point in sacking him. But I can understand why some people do. I'm not 100% convinced by him. I think that jump from a club like Brentford to a club like Tottenham. No disrespect to Brentford. And I'm not bigging us up, but I think a club like Tottenham, with the resources that we have, with the supporter base that we have, should be challenging for things like titles and that. And to come from a club where you just want to make sure they stay in the Premiership, suddenly have this expectation, it's a big leap. And so far, he hasn't really made that leap. But again, I don't see the point in sacking him now. I'm willing to give him to the end of the season. But I think there are players that definitely need to improve. I'm getting fed up with Porro now, I think. And this is the thing with, we need to buy a left back. Ben Davies is a proper left back, but he's 10 years, 11 years at the club. He'll be off on his way soon. We need to buy a left back, so we've got some sort of competition for that left back spot. And that means that you can play Jed Spence at a right back. He can compete with Porro, because I think Porro, at the moment, is getting an easy run, and he's not playing very well. He's getting an easy run. I think I'd like Archie Gray. And that's what annoyed me about the game yesterday, was that I thought at last, the last 2 wins we've had, they were against a position that we should be beating. But at last, we've got Xavi in his proper position. We're giving Archie Gray more of a chance, So I thought, great, we got that bit right. And I actually went into the game yesterday feeling pretty confident. And we all saw what happened. It was a disgraceful performance. I do wonder whether some of the mentality of our players. I thought that Thomas Frank's substitutions weren't very good. I thought against Brentford, I thought they were more or less spot on. Yesterday, they weren't. You have Richarlison, who played well against Newcastle. He played well against Brentford. Yesterday, he's back to his cart horse style again. And why didn't you bring him off and put Mawani up that top? Take him around, and then bring someone like Marcus Tell, who's been given, give him a chance to see what he can do on the left. Don't play him as a centre forward. Play him on the left and see what we can do. But it just wasn't done. I thought that. I think he substituted Archie Gray because I think he's on that yellow card, so I think that's probably the reason he did that. And I thought with bringing Bentancur off for Paulinho, and that's just a like for like, but he had the opportunity to make a bit more attacking substitutions, and we didn't do it. So, and the other thing I'm getting fed up. Oh, this is the other thing I want to make is that Thomas Frank, and I'm sure I heard him right, and people can correct me, said that he doesn't like players taking shots from outside the goal because they don't normally score. Look at how many goals we've conceded this season from people shots from outside the box. I mean,
You've conceded some worldies.
Blame Vicario for not being able to stop them, but you've got to have a shot. You have to have that's how you score goals, by having a shot. Look at how many goals Harry Kane scored from outside the box. Look how many goals. Jermaine Defoe scored from outside the box. Look how many goals Ericsson scored from outside the box. Look how many goals Dele Alli scored from outside the box. You've got to have a shot when you have a chance. Yeah. And we're not doing that. And whether that's because Thomas Franks tells them, no, don't shoot from outside the box because the stats show this. Well, bollocks to the stats. This is football. You win a football match by scoring goals. One way you score goals is by having a shot. So yeah, it's all. I honestly don't know what to think at the moment. I was having a WhatsApp discussion with a couple of my friends yesterday, and I just don't know. I honestly do not know what to think at the moment. But it's just not good. And I was actually going to thought that we might give Liverpool a run for their money on Saturday. Now I'm thinking, oh God, have I got to go and watch that on Saturday?
Well, Brad, as always, for a guy that, when you say you don't really know what to think, I did think you had a lot of fair things to say there and a lot of fair thoughts that you did bring up there. So I'm actually quite impressed. And I do agree with you on the fact that, players that now I was defending like you maybe 2 weeks ago, I'm getting tired of it, when they then put in something like that as well. I totally agree. Just going to take these two quickly, and then I want to go to Eugene, who, a bit like Brad, has been maybe gone for a little bit, but also I think was very patient in one of the last shows because I think he went last in some of the last shows. John Stokes saying, boom, come on, you Spurs, big up Dave and Jack. I know John Stokes, Dave, is in the Frank in camp. He's going to stay loyal to the guy. He's going to stay patient with the guy. So fair play, John. Good to have people like you probably where you do show that person, maybe patience and time. I think just some of us at the minute, we're just getting a little bit head wrecked, but I wish I had maybe the patience that you did, to be fair, John. But appreciate you, man. And 46 months is a crazy time of supporting. So thank you so much, man. You've supported us probably through 10 managers at this stage if you're on 46 months. Big up, John.
John's also of the opinion he thinks, the playing squad is a bigger part of the problem than the manager as well, and that's where he's coming from in terms
huge section of the fan base.
Yeah, that's what I gather from, interacting with John, over the, the WhatsApp and stuff like that. But big up, John. Good to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Look, you know where I'm at. You know where I'm at, John. You know where I'm at right now. Anyway.
Daniel Larson is also happy to see you back, Brad. Sad we're not seeing you tonight, Daniel. AK Shegs as well, saying you guys wouldn't have blamed you if you canceled the show. Be honest, I think these people deserve to be on, and it's probably David and I that should be shutting up, more and letting you guys actually talk. So big up AK Shegs. The show must go on and must go on. Eugene, been a while, sir. Good to have you back with us. I wish under better circumstances, but yeah, take it away. I mean, bad day at the office or something much deeper?
I mean, we all know it's deeper than just a game. I mean, the players were atrocious. First, Vicario, like when he came in during the first season, we all said his shot stopping is really good. However, he needs to improve on the set pieces. He needs to get stronger. He has not improved in the last 3 seasons. And I think he actually got worse. His shot stopping, he cost us so many games. I'm done with Vicario. He makes me nervous just watching the game. I can only imagine what the defenders think every time he touches the ball. I mean, the Archie Gray situation, yes, you can blame Gray for calling for the ball, but he's 19 years old. He's inexperienced. Vicario could see the whole pitch. Yeah. There is no reason for him to give the ball to Gray. He should know better. He's a veteran. It was obvious that this was the wrong pass, and this happens game in and game out. He just costing us games left and right. I mean, Porro, I'm done with Porro as well. In the press conference, in the post game, he blamed it on Gray, like calling out a 19-year-old, but not saying anything about Vicario is shameful. Just the way Porro has been handling himself the last few weeks, I'm sick of him. I know Dave is going to get mad at me, but Romero, how many games in the first 10 minutes do we give up free headers? He just stands there and looks at the ball. I mean, the last few games, every time there's just free headers and he looks lost. And his leadership is just randomly running into players. Like, I don't see enough from Romero. He's just coasting at times. Yes, he's a good player. Yes, he's an elite passer, but for me, he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing.
On that, Eugene, just quick question. I'm not even going to give my response to it. I don't want to take up your time. Are we maybe guilty of doing to Romero what we've done to Son and Kane and players like that in years gone by, where we're almost taking all their frustrations out on them because they're not single-handedly doing everything to win us a game?
No, I'm not saying that he's costing us. He's the best player, but last night, that free header in the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes, that wasn't him. Same thing happened against Newcastle. He should be doing more. And as a leader, I just don't see enough from him. I do have maybe higher expectations because we say he's potentially a world-class player. So my expectations are much higher for him. And I just don't feel like he's doing enough. He's not a scapegoat. He's not the reason why we're losing. But as a captain, I have higher expectations from him. I mean, our passing was atrocious. Like, there is no reason why last season we could create chances and we could score goals and we could pass. And this season, for some reason, we cannot even complete a 5-year pass. It's ridiculous. So the players were shocking. With Frank, again, like I talk about it, I've been talking about it since game 3. Forget even about tactics. But it's actually funny to me. Last season, everybody rightfully slated Ange for our set piece woes, right? It was correct. Ange didn't do enough to address our issue. Yeah. This season, as Brett said, every game we're giving up goals from edge of the box. You can say, oh, against Villa, that was a worldie. Against PSG, it was a worldie. Against Arsenal. Like every game, it's prem. If you give players open shots from edge of the box, they're gonna
Yeah.
score. And
Mhm.
Frank,
Even
like with Ange, it was all about just go and play. With Frank, it's too much. He's looking at the stats, looking at the XG, looking at the tactics board. For even forget about his tactics and everything else. What it comes down to me is he doesn't have the presence, he doesn't have the charisma to inspire players and fans. When I listen to him, he's like a math teacher. He just talks and I fall asleep. Like I don't care what he has to say. To make that move to a bigger club, it's more than coaching, as I've been saying for a long time, right? There are many good coaches. Graham Potter is a good coach, I'm sure, right? X's and O's, like there are a lot of good coaches, but you need to inspire players. They're
Yeah.
players with egos, they're internationals on high wages. You need to be able to manage people, you need to be a leader of men. And Frank, he's a good guy, right? He knows his tactics, his XG, 15 iPads and tactics boards, but he cannot inspire players. And you could tell
Yeah.
that the players are not responding to him on the pitch. Even under Ange, when we lost 22 games, I didn't see the players act like they've been acting, like Van der Van, like Spence, right? Almost every game you see frustration, you see like things that I haven't seen before in the past. And that speaks to me about what the players feel about Frank.
Mm.
So whether he's a good guy, whether he knows his stuff, it's irrelevant. He's just not big enough for us.
You don't
He
see them
doesn't
out there.
understand Tottenham.
You don't see, to your point, you don't see them out there defending them maybe the way, for instance, Matisse Tell went and defended Ange to the fans, and players were trying. You don't see them do that for Frank. To your point.
Yeah, they don't. And when he was brought in as a coach to improve players, I'm like, okay, again, like I'm fine with that. If we lose, but I see the youngsters play and grow, so in the future we know if they're good enough, I'm okay with that. But seeing Richarlison play every single week while Mattel is on the bench, Odegaard is on the bench. Again, I don't rate Tell. However, every time he comes on, at least I see something. I want to see if he's good enough for us. Why do we keep playing Richarlison? Why are we changing up our midfield every single time? Like to me personally, I don't see a plan. I don't see every player has regressed. Nobody's improving. I don't see a plan. I don't see a philosophy. I don't see what he's trying to build. And if we give him money in the transfer window, if we bring in 2, 3 players, even if we bring in Semenyo or anybody else, I'm not confident that with these tactics we're going to improve. With his man management, that we're going to improve. I just don't see it. Am I Frank out? Like I have no idea. Like I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if the new manager is going to come in and improve things because things are so bad. However, with Frank, what I'm seeing, it's obvious that it's just not good enough. The
Mm.
players, you can just tell, the players are not this bad. The players should be able to make a 5 yard pass. We should be generating more than one shot on goal in the Prem. Like people keep saying the players are not good enough or not good enough. We might not be good enough for a top 4 team, right? Or top 6 even. However, you can put League 1 players on the pitch, League 2 players, and they will generate more than one shot on target. Like it's ridiculous, right?
Mm.
So either it's the tactics or it's the players, it doesn't matter. However, you cannot sack every single player, right? That's just not how it works. So if Frank does not inspire players, if they don't understand what he's trying to do, if he doesn't have a philosophy, like what what are we doing? So to
Yeah.
me, it's just yeah, just
On
depressing.
what you have to say there, I think two poignant things that actually really stick out to me is when you say you don't see a plan. That this is exactly what this guy was known for, planning. You know what I mean? I think that's one thing that really sort of is poignant, against what we're seeing so far. Another thing, failing to inspire the players, I think I definitely agree with you on as well. They don't look inspired when they take the pitch. It almost looks like they're confused sometimes taking the pitch. And there are two things there that I think you said really stick out for me in
And
that
just one
regard.
thing, sorry, Dave. Just my last thing. Like, if you look at the top managers recently, Klopp, right? Even like Pochettino or Pep, they all have aura about them, right? They have charisma, the way they talk, the way they act. They walk into a room and this guy's an alpha. Even Ange, right? He had something about him. Whether he succeeded or not, that's different. But he had something about him. And just Frank, he's just another guy. He doesn't have that. And to me, that's the most important thing.
No, I agree. They're, like I said, I think them two things are the most poignant things that have sort of stuck out to me. Like, you look at Sunderland right now, that manager's clearly inspiring that squad to get the sort of very best out of them. Like, for instance, you talk about plan. Sean Dyche has walked into Nottingham Forest, implemented what he's want to do, and look what he's doing there. And you'd argue, we probably have a better squad. And I sort of struggle to buy into this. The squad isn't good enough argument, because those who are saying it now were certainly on the opposite side of the opinion last season, and the season before that. So I sort of failed to buy into that. When you look at it, most top clubs would take Romero if you sold them, would take Van de Ven if you sold them. If we just didn't take up the option from Awani or Palhinha, they'll end up at more top clubs. Xavi Simons has always been at top clubs, So, I think there is, and I'd argue it's a better squad this year than what it was last year. So I think that's where, to your point, the inspiration and the plan and stuff like that. And I think they're the two biggest points I take away from that. But look, let's get in. Let's get Jerome, and then we'll get me in as well as well. I mean, look, guys, you can sort of tailor in where you're at with the whole thing, but I do want to sort of kick it on a little bit as well. Maybe ask about who is to blame for that first goal yesterday. And we'll start with Mia. When you look at Vicario, I know Eugene sort of brought it up as well. Who do you blame? Do you blame Vicario? Do you blame Archie Gray? Or do you sort of blame both?
I think it's probably a little bit of both, Dave, but I will say that Vicario's got the better view of the pitch. So he's the one that makes that decision. So even if Archie's calling for it and he knows he's being marked, why would you play it to him, even if he's being called for it? Because then Archie's going to turn around and realise, oh, there are players next. Like, there might be too many players around me. Like, he's not going to get peed about it. But the fact is that Vicario can see the whole pitch and Archie didn't. So he's got a better perspective. So really, Vicario is the one making the decision. So while I blame Archie for calling for it and not being too much aware of his surroundings, Vicario can see those surroundings, but he still did it.
Yeah.
I've got an insight in this being a goalkeeper. Both their fault. Vicario's, he had VDV and Romero in front of him. Hardly any pressure. Gray coming deeper to receive a ball to go past Benton Core. Bad call. When I was taught as a goalkeeper as a youth kid, if you haven't got past 1 and 2-0 on the wings, hump it upfield.
Yeah.
Is that what I just said, though?
Basic.
That's exactly what I just said, Corey. So it didn't really add much to the conversation, did we?
Yeah, but bumping it up the field, what would I have done anyway? We would have lost the ball. It doesn't matter where we put the ball, whether we give it to Archie Gray, whether we give it to Romero, whether we give it to VDV. It doesn't work at the moment. Whatever he would have done, it would not have worked.
Yeah,
and last season, we saw the same mistake. It's like they call for the ball, they lose the ball. It's the same mistake we saw last season as well. It doesn't matter. And even if Vicario had popped the ball up, what would Richarlison have done with it? He would have done nothing.
It's not about that. It's about the fact that we conceded the goal from it, and that was obviously the issue. If he would have pumped it up long, then obviously, it's a mistake. Like I say, I feel like it's Vicario because he could see the pitch. He had other options. He made that decision. Archie called for it and he's young. So I'm not going to put a majority of blame on him.
But at the end of the day, it's
your left
a
back and your right
mistake.
back haven't got that pass on. Get rid of it.
Yeah, but it's a mistake at the end of the day. You can't. There's nothing we can do about it. Mistake happens. It's a mistake. It happens. It's a mistake. It's nothing we can do. But what I'm worried about is whatever we would have done, we would still be losing that ball. We would still have not done anything with it. Even if we go off long and inshallah, we still lose. We still lose that ball. It doesn't
What I would
matter.
say to that, though, Jerome, is you're better off giving it away up further up the pitch than what you are right on the edge of the box, you know. And at the end of the day, that goal did lead to the downfall. Now, look, Archie Gray was a bit of an experience running and demanding that ball towards Vicario and knowing that if he loses it, there's a chance to win on goal. Yeah, a little bit of an experience there, you know. Maybe slightly his fault, but for me, I think mainly Vicario's fault. At the end of the day, he can see the whole pitch. He can see the player right up Archie Gray's hole, and then he passes it on his weaker foot and bobbles it in towards him, even though it's a fucking pristine carpet he's playing on. You know, I think he sort of set the kid up, you know, to a certain degree to sort of fail there. And if you actually go back and look at Vicario's time at Tottenham Hotspur, it's not the first time he's made a pass to a player like that under pressure, and it's been taken off them on the edge of our own box and put in the back of our own net. He routinely does this, and I think not only that, he's very suspect from, and has been for a long time, from set pieces. How many times in recent years has he come out and misjudged the punch where Chris Wood has got in ahead of him and a couple of other players, four headers? And what I'm saying is just a goalkeeper that is making far too many mistakes for us to even really build any sort of resemblance of consistency. Because to be honest with you, yeah, I know they hit the post in the opening minute, but up to that point, we were sort of relatively comfortable. It was a dead game. No one was really creating too many chances, but all of a sudden, we gifted them that game, and they smelled hunger, and they went and killed us off. And it did lead to the downfall. And, you know, a good goalkeeper, he doesn't do that. And if he does, he probably does it once every sort of 2-3 years. And another thing on that as well is, I almost think once a goalkeeper at this level makes so many high-profile errors and loses his confidence, he's never, ever really going to go back to that player that he once was. And I've seen that time and time again, you know, with Joe Hart. At a certain point, all of a sudden, lost the confidence, high-profile errors, never hit the same heights again. There was another goalkeeper.
Gary Neville one.
Onana, Inter Milan, unbelievable. Came to Man United, made high-profile errors. You look at him out in Turkey, he's making them, continue to make them. I almost think it's a point where you got to go and get a new goalkeeper now on the market. But, you know, I do want to, you know, give me a bit more of a say and then also get Jerome in. We're going to get everybody in. Mia, you know, James, you know, is our worst start to a Premier League season in 17 years. I know the club have sort of come out today and said that they were going to sort of back Thomas Frank, you know, which I suppose at the end of the day, we can have our opinion on Frank, but we can't complain. At least the club are coming out communicating what they're going to do at the end of the day. Where you are at with that? Do you think he's the right guy? Do you think he's the right guy to sit here and back? You know, it's only fair that we get your opinion on it, because I know, you know, Eugene and Brad gave theirs as well.
So for me, I feel like with Frank, he's making it more complicated than it needs to be. I feel like football's a simple game, and I feel like he's making it not a simple game. I feel like he's giving out maybe too many different instructions, and I don't think the players have got a real clue what they're supposed to really be doing. And I've said this for a while now, that I don't see a plan. I can't see what we are as a team. We're not a possession team. We're not a hit 'em on the break team. What are we as a team? And I think that he's making it much more complicated than it needs to be, Dave. I feel like it's a simple game, man. Like, he doesn't need to make it that complex and complicated, you know, and he's meant to come in and help with our defence. We're conceding loads of goals, but we're not even trying to score any goals. This lack of trying to score goals is driving me insane. Like, what are we doing? I already said in my preview, I wanted Mawani up top, because I knew their defenders, if we try and hit balls in, cross them in at height, they're going to get them all out. We needed someone to play ball to feet, and Mawani's better with ball to feet. We should have played him. He doesn't make changes at half time. He could have brought Mawani to the middle and played someone on the left, Odebert, Tell, whoever, get Richie off. He could have got Archie off, put Paulino on, take a bit of control of the midfield. He's not making those changes tactically either to try and think, right, let's try and get hold of this game. He even said himself, he said, at 2-0, we already thought the game was done. That's not the attitude to have. Yeah. Like, don't have that attitude, man. You don't want that. You want to try your best. And yes, people are going to say, who are we going to bring on? Our bench ain't that great, blah, blah. But I just gave examples of ways I personally would have maybe shored up the midfield a little bit and then created maybe a bit more by playing it ball to feet to Mawani, who can hold up the ball as well. So if we do kick it long, he's better at holding up the ball. Get it to him. or playing, like I said, we're playing around the box, ball to feet. Like, there's plenty of other ways. There was options for us to do, and he just doesn't do them. And it's frustrating to watch. And while I'm not Frank out, I'm not Frank in either. I'm a bit like on the fence. I need you to show something, because we need green shoots to want to support a manager. And I'm not seeing any green shoots of anything, any plan, any sort of way he wants us to play. Like, it's just not acceptable to have that after this amount of time. He should have at least implemented something for us to see.
I think that's my big concern. Like, no one knows what we are, whether we're going to be attacking or whether we're defensive, what the formation is. And if we don't know, and it's that much of a headache and a hindrance to us, you can only imagine, how much of an annoyance it is towards the players. So, I fully understand that. And look, many people are sort of venting. I've seen many people, sort of vent their frustrations on, similar to what you're saying there, Mia. Look, let's get Eugene in. By the way, Eugene. Oh, no, sorry, not Eugene. Jerome, my man. I was listening to Ramon Vega to this morning on TalkSport, and the way he speaks in terms of his direct style and the way he delivers it reminded me exactly of you, and the way you sort of deliver yours, which I thought I was absolutely cracking myself up listening to. I was like, I've heard someone approach things similar to this, but I guess a different question to you, Eugene. So we're not just sort of all harping on about the same thing. Or Jerome, sorry, I keep getting them two mixed up. They're like Soren and Drew for me now. They're the new brothers. The new twins, but
we're twins. We think alike, so
yeah, exactly. I'm sort of grouping you together now because you've been on this together.
We like the same head.
But Jerome, it's easy to sit here and blame the manager and make him the biggest part of the problem. Is the biggest problem right now the manager or the structure above him? Because there doesn't seem to be a real plan from board level either, and it does hold this club back.
Yeah, you're right. The main issue is the structure, the club structure, because it doesn't to me, it's like how many times we saw, it doesn't matter how many managers we had. It is the same thing over and over, was abject performance by the players. It's like at some point they will have a game where they literally stop playing and just be like, we don't do anything. So yesterday was a prime example of how the club allow players to behave this way, and there's no accountability. There's nothing in this club to go and tell them, keep doing this and you're out. There's nothing like that. Those guys can decide on their own when they want to play, when they don't want to play. We've seen this season after season after season after season. It doesn't matter when, it doesn't matter who is the manager, they will have this kind of performance. And I blame the structure for it.
It's in the middle where it's won and lost. Totally right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Look, to me, in terms of what we see, it's like we need a changed mentality in this club. The club needs to change their mentality. And I do hope with Vinay and with the kids from the Lewis kids coming in, things will change. But right now, there's no plan. There's no plan whatsoever. And look, to me, to start the debate, I really would like to know what Corey has to say, what Ryan has to say, because to me, Eugene said everything that I needed to say about the manager. Because from the start, I said it. Yeah,
really
I said it from the start.
The last few days.
Right. Well, look, before we get in and get their opinions, then we'll take this from Stano8142, because I presume it's just got to descend into chaos there, and we'll sort of sit back and allow it to happen, I suppose. But Stano says, I just think these players are all average at best, and it's materialized over years of neglect and poor recruitment by these owners, which, look, I can understand. I think, when you look at the squad, this is something I've tried to highlight in years gone by as well. It is such a mismatch of different directors of football, first of all. How many different managers and all have had sort of their sort of little bit of input on what we bring in and stuff like that. And this is where I go back to Stano saying, I'm at the point now where you could change a manager, you could get a little bit out, maybe a little bit better out of it than what Thomas Frank is. And I think, you could argue if you brought in someone of a Conte ilk or a Mourinho ilk, they'd probably certainly get better out of this group. But to what extent? And we've seen that in years gone by. I'm actually at the point now where I actually just think, Stanos, that the club now need to say, right, this is the Tottenham way. This is what we're sort of looking to play. This is the way we want to be represented on the pitch. Then you buy your players accordingly to that. Right now, such a mismatch. We sort of go by what cheap sort of good talent is on the market and then up and coming prospects. We never actually buy for a specific system or, look for specific attributes for a player to come in and fill this to sort of improve our tactics and what we're trying to do. And I just think there's too many chopping and changing and stuff like that. We need the club to, and then follow it through then by basically bringing in a manager with them sort of philosophies that are going to continue that on. And I think that's the way forward. That's the way we get the best out of all of our players, the staff inside the club, and also the manager, because everyone's working off the one blueprint, and there's no room for deviation either side. And that way then you can sort of weed out the chaff and all that sort of shit as well. So for me, Stanos, that's the way going forward. Like, we could change manager, you might improve it for 6 months to a year, we'll be back here within the second season. We've seen that. So inherently it does have to change inside the club, but that doesn't make sticking behind Thomas Frank the right thing either, But Jack, anything you want to say to Stanos, and then we'll let I suppose Eugene and Corey come back in at Jerome?
I mean, people have made statements like this where it's like, oh, once we haven't bought, a top player, in X amount of years. It's like, I mean, Van de Ven is probably a worldwide wanted center back. Romero's a worldwide wanted center back. Yes, Joao Palhinha maybe wasn't taken up by every club, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have taken Joao Palhinha last season or, even still this season. I still would maintain that I think Sarr is a quality midfielder. I do think Bergvall is a quality midfielder. Yes, they need development, but a lot of people would take these guys off of our hands, and maybe it's more just the forward line that I've maintained. I feel like is probably a bit more towards the bottom end of the table in terms of its quality. But Kolomoani looks like he kind of every bit of a 50 million pound striker. Really, he's just not being properly utilized and given the the service or the opportunities, I think, to really shine. I think we know Kudus. I agree with Brad. I think he's really frustrated me in the last few games, but I think we know that this guy, is still quite young and then still can develop into a top forward. Same thing with Xavi Simons. I think Udogie is still a good player. I just feel like a lot of these guys that we have brought in have been actually pretty great recruitment. There are definitely some blunders here and there for sure. And there are definitely some squad areas that we still need a lot of improvement on. But I don't think we're that far away from challenging relatively inside the top 6, 7, 8 positions. I think that's kind of where our squad is at, if you ask me. But maybe I might be overrating these players. Standout, to be honest. Also, as well, just Ian Ferguson from earlier, 44 months said, afternoon all, a long way to go. No big issues with Frank personally for me. Vic is the big issue for me. Long way to go. Saying that it's a long way to go twice, Ian, seems to suggest that we're not in a great place. But like John, a lot of years of support, 44 months. How many managers have we been with Ian Ferguson? Do really appreciate it, man. And thanks to Stano as well. I mean, go ahead.
I also just want to welcome in Ellie and Colin Turner as well. Great to see you guys in there.
Love you, Ellie.
This is a debate, though, that maybe I don't want to switch gears too much because I know we were on a good talking point there. But this is I've noticed where it is almost 50-50 with the fan base is the quality of the squad. I've heard things as far as Spurs don't even have a better squad than Forest, better squad than Fulham. I also, hear at the same time, that people think the manager should be getting a better tune out of every single one of these players, which, maybe isn't that fair because I think some of them really are kind of dead weight and dead rubber players. But I don't know. That's kind of the big debate right now. Some people think no matter who we bring in as a manager, they're going to fail no matter what with these set of players, which is an interesting comment. I'm not sure if I agree with it, but I've heard it a lot from fans.
How about we say, Jack, that this squad doesn't have enough depth? How about that? How about we say this is a good starting 11. You have a good starting 11, but it just doesn't have the type of player that would come and change the game and make a huge impact. For the moment, we don't have that. That's the only thing. Every single time I have said we don't have enough depth in this squad. We might have a good starting 11. It was the same thing on the Posh as well. We have a very good starting 11, but the bench, nobody from the bench could have come and said change the game completely. And it's the same thing again. We don't have that player that could come on the bench and come from the bench and say, we'll change that game. There's none for the moment. None. So can somebody tell me who can come from our bench and say that's a game changer? Who?
Not
Jerome, there's no
Give me a name.
Jerome. There's no one, Jerome. Fingers, we got. Yeah. You see, our starting 11 so great. Yeah, we haven't got a great starting 11. Our goalkeeper is absolutely atrocious. He's got his Mark 2.
Look,
yeah, I used to be.
To me, he's like a Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris,
No,
I would not trust Hugo Lloris in my life the whole time. Every time we give the ball in the feet of Hugo Lloris, I would shit myself. But how many times has he saved us? How many times have Hugo Lloris saved our asses compared to the mistake that the howlers that Lloris have made? We all have seen the howlers Lloris have made. It's the same thing with Vicario. It's the same thing. He has his on and off. But Jerome, it's the same thing.
Jerome, but this season alone, 75% mistakes he's made. 75%. That's not a joke.
75% mistake he's made, yes. But who's going to come and replace him? Kinski? You're going to put Kinski in? He's even worse. Who are you going to put in?
So what? We keep him, yeah?
No. All right. Give me a good goalkeeper out there that can come and compete against Vicario. Give me one.
Anybody but Vicario. Anybody but Vicario.
Anybody but Vicario is not an answer. He needs competition.
I'll do round a week.
He needs a good competition. Let's be real. He needs the competition. Kinski is not the competition. Austin is not the competition. Okay? He needs another number 2 that come. I will take your spot. I'm going to take your spot. But there's no one to go and say, yeah.
Like I just said, Denis Siemens, the young goalkeeper in Germany, he is fire.
I'm not doing any of this fancy shit either. We tried that with Kinski, and look what happened. Everyone said this guy was fire, and the guy couldn't say fucking anything. Is there a guy that's out there that's established? That's what.
Yeah, an established goalkeeper that could come and say, "I'm going to take your spot, Vicario. You are going to be number 2 now."
Should we bring in Dermatron? Dermatron, you've been waiting patiently.
And Rhino as well.
Well, Rhino can go front of me. Go on, Rhino.
Let Rhino go, because Rhino, you need to put belief in me for this manager. Come on, Rhino. Tell me something to say I should believe in this manager. Come on, man.
I think you're on
mute. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Well, that's the most sense he's ever made.
That's a great start, isn't it? Right. Look, I've said it all year long, right? So far, and I am not going anywhere with this apart from the same spot as I always go. We haven't got the quality of players we need to literally have these players to get sold for starters, and then we can start bringing in new players. I don't know how many times I've got to say the same thing over and over again. It's got to the point that I'm going blue in the face saying the same old crap every single week. It's getting boring saying the same thing.
Okay, Ryan, wait, hold on. Ryan, hold on a second. Let's forget. Changing the players will take a very long time, Ryan. It's going to take a very long time to change every single one of them. But right now, what I'm asking you is talk about the manager and put some belief into all of us, because you are Frank in for the moment. You are behind the man. Give me something right now that you think that you should all be behind Frank. Don't talk about the players, because the players, we all know, if you say we are crap, it will take a very long time for us to change every single one of them. What I want to know, Ryan, is give me belief into behind Frank, to go behind Frank and say we should all be behind him, because that's the philosophy he's going to give us. Give me something, man. Give me.
What do you want me to say apart from exactly what I've been saying from the get-go?
No, not the players. Not the players. I want to know about the manager.
Well, let me speak.
We have to give this manager time. We haven't got enough quality players in there. We've probably got, 3 or 4 quality players, 5 at a push. Right? I'll name them all off. I'll name the quality players for you right this second. Moani, Polinia, Kudos, right? Mickey, Romero.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else is in there? The rest of them need. Oh no, and Xavi. Sorry. Okay, so there's 6 out of all of them, right? But 2 of them. How many times do I have to say this? 2 of them are on loan. 2 of them are on loan. And if we don't bring
scored
them
2 goals, Ryan.
Oh, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Come on.
On the point
man.
of the players, though.
You know I love you, man, but this is just ridiculous. At this point.
Ryan, just on the point of the players, right? And I want to bring Stanos Super Chat in here. He says, name me one player that will get in Potter's team of Lloris, Walker, Rose, Toby, Jan, Wanyama, Dembele, Ali, Ericsson, Son, Kane. That's how far we've fallen. Now,
Paulinho gets in.
Right? That's where we all want to get back to. You know?
As a sub.
That's the sort of... One second. You know, when you look at that team, you know, and I think this is where the point comes in around Thomas Frank, is none of them were brought in as superstars to Tottenham. Not one of them players were brought in as superstars. Kane came through. Sonny was brought in from Bayer Leverkusen. You know, Ericsson
23, around the same age as Xavi.
Yeah,
from
you
Germany.
know, Ericsson was brought in, you know, from Ajax. Dele Alli was brought in from League One. You know, Dembele was brought from Wanyama was brought from Southampton. Jan came from Ajax. Toby had a good season at Southampton. We bought him off the back of that. Rose and Walker were out on loan for years until Pochettino gave them an opportunity. And in fairness, Lloris was making a name for himself in France, and that's why we bought him. But we sit here and say we don't have the quality. But Pochettino brought this to a Champions League final. Pochettino brought this, you know, to League Cup finals, towards FA Cup semi-finals and stuff like that. Pochettino brought this to many of sort of towards the top end of the Premier League competing. So, you know, we could sit here and say about quality players right now. But how much of it is, you know, you also need a manager that can extract the best out of what he's got. And you'd argue it's exactly what Pochettino done there.
No.
I'm going to be...
No. Now, this is where it's getting silly, right? And I'm not saying it's you being silly, Dave. I'm just saying...
Oh, you can if you want. You want to offend me.
In general. Do you know what I mean? I'm not calling you silly in any way, shape or form, Dave. I'm calling you a situation. No, because then we might start having an argument and then whatever. So, no, let's not go down that. Let's not start going down that way. Get to your point. But look, this situation is silly, right? The board at this point, right, I've said this so many times, the board either need to pull their finger out of their backsides and bring in players, right, or the board need to sell up. I'm getting sick and tired of saying the same thing every time. Now, who gets into that from this team here? Who gets into that team? Well, Paulinho does straight away, right? Mickey does. Romero does. Carlo Moani does. Kudos does.
Carlo Moani over Kane, Son, Ali or Ericsson. Don't smash my head off the wall.
But aren't you just disproving your point about how bad these players are if you actually rate them over some of those players that are in that team? That just disproves your point about our players not being good enough, because I wouldn't put most of those ones. I wouldn't put them over Jan and Toby.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't put any of the current lot in that team. But what I will say, to my point, Pochettino didn't have star players. He wasn't given star-studded talent, but he got the best out of what he has, and he put a team out there. And 9 times out of 10, he put the same team out there consistently as much as he could. And, you know, you look at where Frank's going about and stuff. And also, let's not forget, Pochettino had the likes of Adebayors and players on massive contracts and stuff that he could have used. He got rid of them. He had some bollocks to go, do you know what? You're not doing what I want you to do. Out you go. And, you know, and this is my point, you know, is Frank getting the best out of what we've got? We've got a decent crop. It's not great, but we're surely better than what we're looking on the football pitch. Has to be.
When we're looking at Walker and Rose as well, because we took...
Well, not David.
Frank's getting the best out of this team that he can do at the moment, because what can you do, right? Right, let me put it like this, Dave, yeah, right? If your one hand is behind your back, yeah, right, and you're trying to, I don't know, let's just say, just hypothetically here, right? This is just hypotheticals. You got one hand behind your back, and you're trying to fight, yeah, right, with one hand. How are you supposed to do it? You can't. You can't. You literally can't fight with one hand behind your back. You need 2 hands, and that's exactly what's here. That's the
No. You find a way. Second of all, Frank's not managing with one hand tied behind his back. You know, it's not happening. He's got two hands. He's waving them around on the sidelines. You know, and at the end of the day, look, the thing is, I just don't think Frank is getting enough out of the squad. I think when I look at the team going out on the pitch, they look confused. They look like they don't know what to do, what the actual plan is and stuff like that. And it looks like they're making up as they go along. You know, for instance, just little things. When we do go along, it's never really to a certain player, certain target, and we push players around them to pick up the ball. They're just little things in game that, you know, you can tell that have been worked on and stuff like that. That doesn't happen. When we send it long, it's to any player that's up there. It doesn't matter the height of them, and they never jump. It just seems like there's no plan to anything we're trying to do. And then at times, then they mix it up, try and play out from the back. And then shit like, you know, what happened with Archie Gray happened yesterday and stuff like that. It just seems like nothing is being worked on. And I'm not being funny, Ryan, but these are all things that have been aimed at previous managers and stuff like that. Yet this guy's been given his coaching team to make it easier and stuff like that. I mean, look, worse. It's a worst start to Premier League season in 17 years.
Do you want to know what I put this down to, Ryan? Do you know what a Venn
David,
diagram
I have a question, right, for Ryan, yeah? Right now, what I would ask is this, Ryan. So, what do you see Frank is giving us at the moment? At this specific time in the moment, what is Frank giving us? What ideas is he showing us? What he can do? What is he actually showing? For me, Ange won the trophy. Why are you talking about Ange? We're not talking about Ange. I'm asking about Frank. What is Frank showing us? I'm asking about Frank, Ryan. No, I'm not asking about Ange. I'm asking about Frank. What is Frank giving us that? What plan is he giving us to show what he's doing? What is he showing us right now? Because at the moment, there is no identity to Tottenham. There is literally zero identity. Right, so what is he trying to achieve?
Maybe let Corey go.
Let Corey go, and we'll get Dermo in after.
Right. Do you know what a Venn diagram is? You get two circles, they overlap, right? In the middle, you've got the board. Tottenham Football Club. On the outside, you've got players, managers, coaches, Doris the tea lady, whatever.
That's my next manager.
So the board aren't going to take the full front of it. It's going to be the manager. Then it trickles down to the players, then the coaching staff, then everybody else around the club. So when I last met Jerome 2 weeks ago, we bounced, but I've had a bit of reflecting on managers gone and past, apart from he who shouldn't be named last year. When I look at a goalkeeper that can't take a goal kick, having defenders do it, not passing out to your wing backs like every youth goalkeeper is taught. Sorry, something's going on with my mic. That's a fundamental problem with coaching. Frank and his press conferences I'm getting a bit fed up listening to the players saying sorry every week. You paid your 200 grand a week and you sit in your nice houses. Now, if I was the board, I'll turn around and say to these players, start giving us more, or we're not going to pay you until you start doing it. That's one way around it. Say to the manager.
They're not allowed to do that contractually. They're not allowed to do that. We all know that is something you're saying, a suggestion that won't ever happen because they can't do it and they won't do it. The point is,
anyway, I do want to get Dermo in, and then we'll open the floor up, and you can sort of steer the conversation and come in on each other's points. But I'm just conscious Dermo has been very, very patient.
I mean, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, I'm guessing as well, but. I've had a lot of.
Can I have my say?
Let's bring in Dermot. What he just said.
Instead of interrupting, look, I've been supporting Tottenham for over 40 years. I've seen a lot of bad and I've seen a lot of good. Me, Chris, Jerome, we've seen it all in our lifetime as Spurs fans. We've seen the good, the bad, the damn ugly. I will tell you now, the squad of the 80s wouldn't stick up for this. They would give more passion than these players showed in their little fingers. Even the shit teams of the 90s under Ozzy Martinez, Jerry Francis, all of them, they showed more passion than any of these players showed. Even Robbie Keane knocked out Agda Davids because he was acting Jack the Lad, and he said nobody acts like that here. I am so embarrassed to be a Tottenham fan. I am so disillusioned. I am so disillusioned. If it wasn't for my channel, I wouldn't have watched yesterday. I would not have bothered because I'm so sick and tired of the shithole we're watching week in, week out, week in and week out. I'm sick of everyone saying, oh, we're going to give the board to next summer. I don't fucking care. It's the board out of the problem as well. Tottenham Hotspur needs to be torn down from top to bottom, burnt out completely and rebuilt from the foundations. Because the foundations that Bill Nick built, Arthur Rowe, managers like him going on, they have been destroyed because of what we've had over the last 25 years. We're now living with Levy's legacy of bad playing, bad management and scouts and people like Steve Hitchen buying shit players and bringing in managers, not giving them time to complete their job, sacking them after 18 months. The only two managers I think that stayed longest was Harry Redknapp and Poch. And then you had Ange, who did win us a European trophy. No matter what anyone says, give us the best night of our lives in 17 years. Give us the best night. We all celebrate because we were champions of Europe. Thomas Frank hasn't got a fucking clue. I said this a good month and a half ago, and I sorry about my swearing. I said this about a month and a half ago. Frank has to go because the players have no clue. They walked onto that pitch yesterday, didn't know what they were doing from left to right. We're playing Nottingham Forest, for Christ's sake. A team that is in 17th place. A team that we should be going up there and beating. We got Liverpool at the weekend. We're going to get whooped the way we're playing. Oh no, but Tottenham would turn up. Tottenham would turn up because it's Liverpool. I am so sick, and I'm sick of the fans coming out with the same BS all the time. I'm just fed up with it. I'm so disillusioned with this club, the manager, the players, everything. I've had enough. I've had a gutful of it all. And what we need to do is tear it down again and start again. Bring Poch home and let Poch rebuild it from the bottom up again. Let him do it under new owners as well. I'd like to know where all these protests have gone. We've got Daniel Levy out. Well, how come you're still not protesting? Because Enoch is still there as far as I know. And all the protests were Levy out, Enoch out. Just because it's new faces doesn't mean they're going to do the same thing in January or next summer. You know, I'm sick of it. I'm sick to death of it. And I just want my club back. My club died a long time ago. I want my club back.
What do you think is the biggest part of the problem, though, Darmo? Because the main argument seems to be manager or playing squad.
I think this is the worst squad I've seen in Tottenham in a long time. I think you brought up that super chat, Dave, with the team on the Poch. None of this squad gets into that team.
Agreed.
None of them. Not one of them was fit. None of these are fit to wear the shirt. I've always said it. The players have loaned the shirt from us. We own the shirt because we're the fans. The club is us. We loan them the shirt. None of them play with pride. None of them play with passion. I think the players have something to do with it. I think the manager does. And I think the owners do as well, Dave. I think the whole club is rotten to the core. And look, we had the best night of our life last May. And
but that's the thing, Domo. That's the worst squad that just won, that gave you that night, Domo. That's the thing. We're saying it's the worst squad that we ever seen, but that squad just gave us the best night of our lives.
It did, but was that Man United weren't great that night either, Jerome, to be fair. It was a shit final, and we got lucky with
it was a shit final, but we still won it. We got to it.
Yeah, I wonder if some of these players think they've won a European title. That's good enough for them. They've made it. And we don't need to try anymore.
Dermot, that's a very good point. Dermot, that is a very, very good point.
Brennan Johnson, for one, gone off the rails completely. You look at him in all the videos with James Maddison. He's larking around like he's a fanboy. You know, you go,
it winds me up some of these new videos.
He's not a footballer, James Maddison. He's a YouTuber.
I applaud James Maddison for doing it, giving us an insight what it's like to come back from an injury. But I think this club needs ripping apart. It needs new owners, new Poch back, new players, new identity. We haven't got our identity anymore. We don't know who we are or what we are.
So you don't trust us, Andy?
You know what really got me with this James Maddison video?
Can I finish, Corey? Sorry. I was trust the Lewis family as far as I can kick them down my local high street in Gorey. That's how far I can trust them. I don't trust them.
Very
with,
small
I wouldn't
village.
trust them with a fiver. That's I wouldn't trust them with that. Look, I'm a passionate Spurs fan. I'm delusional at times. I can be so off the rails, off the radar, but I am so angry. I am so angry at the moment. I just want it all cleared out. I wish we could sack the players. I know we can by contract. I wish we could just go and say, right, we're not sacking Frank. We're going to sack you. And then you got Basuma also acting the arse. Do you know, I don't know what to say. As 44 years in January, I've been supporting this club. The worst I've ever seen. And I thought the 90s were bad. This is 20 times worse.
Look, the thing is, what we can say is, in terms of...
Sorry, Dry. I just got to jump off, lads. Enjoy the rest of your show. Have a great
one. Well said. Well said as well.
Dave, I'll give you a call for the show in the week, man, for our podcast.
No worries,
right,
Tron.
Take care. Jack, great to see you, bud. Hope you're doing well.
Good to have you, John. Thanks for being patient.
All right, Damo.
No problem.
Take it easy, man.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Brad, you've been quiet for a while. Is there anything that you want to add to this or anything else that maybe you feel like is missing that we haven't touched on? Of course, there's lots.
All I want to say is that I think in Archie Gray and the other one, my mind's just gone now.
Vicario?
No.
Bergwell.
Bergwell, yeah, sorry, yeah. I think in Archie Gray and Bergwell, I think we got two very talented youngsters there. But they're only 19, and it's going to take them a few years to actually become the players that I think they will become. I just hope that we've still got them, because I think if they become the players, I think they're going to be snapped up by other clubs. So I think we just got to put a bit of trust in that. And I think we do tend to forget how young they really are. And Pat Mapasar, again, is a very young player. So I think we've got to wait a little bit there. But that said, you need experience to go with these young players. And we haven't got that at the moment. Bentancur is not playing well. You know, we haven't got those players that come in and then show these guys the ropes. So that's one thing I wanted to add about that. As far as the board's concerned, I said earlier in the show that, I want to give Frank a season and see what happens by the end of the season. I'm the same with the board as well. You know, there's all this talk about, it's going to be new, we're going to do this thing. Now, I'm not holding my breath, don't get me wrong, but I think we have to give them a little bit of a chance to see what they're going to do in January and in the summer. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we have to give them that chance. They've said all the right things about, it's going to be different. And hopefully, what we've all been saying about the club need to be rebuilt, hopefully, they'll see that there's a lot wrong at this club and we need really to start again. And if you look back on it, the one manager that we have in recent years that got us up there was Pochettino. And what did they do to him? He said they had to rebuild and they just gave him nothing. And then
they just ignored him, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. And it was an absolute disaster. I felt that if they had have given him the funds and he could have rebuilt his team, because that's what he did. I think people tend to forget. He was here for 5 years. In those first couple of seasons, he got rid of a lot of players that weren't up to his standards. And so, he had to do that. So I think we tend to forget that when we sort of talk about, rebuilding. It does take time. It's not going to happen overnight. But
Brad,
you know what? Can I just say, right, when everyone talks about Pochettino, they do it with rose-tinted spectacles.
Yeah,
Have you not forgotten the mistakes that he also made, the things that he did wrong when it comes to us actually winning something? He made plenty of mistakes.
Listen,
I
know this argument you've made, and I get your point. I do get your point. But hey, in my watching Tottenham Hotspur, I have never seen us go for a title. We went for titles twice with Pochettino. I remember we went to so many semi-finals and finals. Okay, we didn't win them, and that we needed to rectify that. But I felt this club was going somewhere. I felt proud to be a Tottenham Hotspur supporter during those years. Yes, it might be rose-tinted glasses, but it was what was happening at that time, and we just didn't give him the backing to make it continue.
Exactly.
And what, to win nothing? to win nothing. At the end of the day, everyone was saying to us that Poch needed to win something, because the people, them lot down the road, they've got the same thing. If he don't win nothing this season, they're basically just the spicy Spurs, because they ain't won nothing with him since he's got his team. That's not what it's about, man. It's about trying to win what you can win. And Poch didn't go for cups. He said cups build egos. Who says that? We need to win stuff, and cups were our opportunity to win it. And he never took that seriously.
I guess what
Poch, look, with Poch, there's always mistranslation with him. There's always like people, like in the press conference, there's mistranslations.
And everyone wanted him sacked. So
Yeah.
Nah, look,
I never wanted Poch sacked. Never did I want Poch sacked. However, Brad, our club motto was to dare to do. Yeah, let's see in January. Yeah, if our board dares to do what they say they're going to do. Let's see.
Totally agree.
There's a lot of thing of the modern football player that's really getting to me, right? So I watched the Maddison video like every Spurs supporter did, right?
I haven't seen it yet.
I do not want to see my player standing around in a physio room looking at a whiteboard playing a trivia game of who in the Premier League now has longest serving players. I don't want to see you on $100,000 a week sitting there staring at a whiteboard. Get on the treadmill, go work out.
I'm sure that they did. You don't know what they did before that, though. We only saw that bit of it. You don't know that if they did. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you're picking out something that's really, like, inconsequential. They obviously did do a workout, and then they were doing that as well. Like, you can't say that because you don't know what happened before, innit?
Look, what I would say, Mia, there's a difference between look at James Maddison and look at Kulu. James Maddison is literally someone who's like on social media showing everything. Kulu is quiet. He's doing his thing. There's little video you can see about Kulu, but when you see the video about Kulu, it's him working his ass out to come back here and be on the pitch and be with those players. Compared to James Maddison, he's just enjoying himself right now. You can see he's enjoying himself there.
I think Jerome makes a good point there, actually, you know, when you look at the difference. And, you know, James Maddison maybe venturing into punditry. It's clear that James Maddison, and look, maybe he's a bit older, and some would say it's wrong, some would say it's right, but maybe he is looking towards what he's going to do once his playing days are over, whereas Kulusevski just seems really focused and determined in terms of getting on the pitch. And, you know, even before James Maddison injury, he was out there doing loads of stuff on YouTube and stuff like that. And, you know, I just, when a club is going through what we're going through, you just don't want to see any of that. You just want to see them put their head down and hard work. You know, you don't want to see any, like that. Like, again, this is where the club needs to read the room as well. Like, stop putting out all this playful shit. All it's doing is just irritating fans. Keep it for when we're doing well. We'll lap it up then.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, David, I agree with that. David, I do agree with that. But see, the thing is, we can say all about we don't want to see it, but we don't know what's going on in the background beforehand, or before that video has been shot, or what Madison's actually doing in that physio room itself. So, yeah, it's annoying that we're seeing it, but we don't know what's going on before that. So, when I see the videos, David, I just go, oh, fuck.
No, I get it, right? You know, and, you know, to Mia's point, you know, you would hope to think that, for instance, Archie Gray and Brennan Johnson have been in a few, that they've done all their training and stuff like that. But I do think there is stuff you can take out of it. Like, when you look at Johnson and the way he's behind the scenes, 24 years of age, and the way he acts, and then you don't see the progression on the football pitch, I think you can see certain things that you go, oh, that's why he's not progressing. He's just not matured yet. He doesn't understand it yet, you know, and he's not thinking, you know, what I want out of my career and stuff. He's just sort of happy to be there. And I think the good thing is you can sort of wean out the people that are maybe just not pulling away. Because I'm not being funny. You don't see Mickey Van der Ven in there doing that shit, or, you know, some of the other players, and, you know, they're out there performing. So I think, you know, I just don't think it helps.
I'll just say, though, one thing. I'm not going to defend Brennan Johnson completely, but he's not actually being played to prove himself at the moment. So it's not like he's been played and we can say he's been really crap because, you know, we've seen a lot of him. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying, innit? Like,
yeah, but he's not playing because he's...
he has been given a fair amount of games. He's just been crap in all those games.
Well, we do. He's not better than Moani. That's why he doesn't play ahead of him. He's not better.
He's not better than Moani. I agree. He's not better than Kudos. I agree. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like that Brennan Johnson gets a lot of, like, heat in a way. And I just feel like at the end of the day, he's not being played. And obviously, you can't fully judge until he gets proper minutes, man. Like, he doesn't get enough minutes to see him for, like, enough amount of time.
given, and that's why he's not being given the minutes. And I think that's, we're not.
Or because Kudus is better on the right, and his preferred places on the right.
But when Johnson has played, he hasn't done anything inspiring with them minutes to oust them, which alludes to talent. You know, I mean,
yeah, no, I agree.
When you see him acting like a child behind the scenes, you don't see it from a Mickey Van der Ven who's younger than him and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, of course, everyone's maturity is different.
Some people don't feel comfortable in front of a camera. Some people do. It's all I wouldn't read into too much who's in front of the camera, who's not. As I say, some people don't want to be in front of the camera.
Well, all I'm saying is the ones that aren't featuring heavily in these videos are the ones that are playing.
Yeah, but especially when we are in a difficult period like this, right? Those are things you don't want to see. You want to see your players put their heads down, working hard, and coming back on the base and proving that they work hard. Because right now,
instead of the club, though, isn't it? The club also advertises all other functions. I don't want to see that either. Let's go on the Grand Prix track. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do the Sky Wall. I don't want to see that.
Last year we get a loss. Oh, here's your boxing match.
Yeah, exactly.
Here you go.
What Will said, the younger generation want to see this stuff, but 10, 15 years ago, you never knew what these players are doing to get fit. You didn't hear anything. And that's what I don't want to see behind the scenes like that. I just want the players to get their head down, get fit, and get back on that pitch because we are suffering. Was there a stat? Again, like last year, our team has the most injuries per minute again. Or whatever it is.
We'd love to know what's happened to Solanke.
It's in Madison, Kulu, Solanke.
Where is he? We'd be desperate for Solanke to come back.
Where is Solanke? He's disappeared.
He's on the grass,
he was
apparently.
in the video, weren't he? He was in the
video. He's working. He's working.
He's on the
it's
grass,
the same as
He's on his way back, don't worry. He only went out with enough, but we'll get him back 2 years down the line.
Yeah. David went out for knock. He'll be back in 2 weeks.
How about driving scene? I wonder.
This is another player that's not flaming good enough. He's no good. He's a one-season wonder. He's not good enough. Let's bin him off, right? And let's bin off for Charlison, and let's get in a new striker because Solanke's not good enough, and we need to just.
Who are we going to get at this precise moment in time in January? Who's going to sell their top striker in January?
No one.
I'll take anyone over Solanke at the moment.
Not anyone.
Solanke hasn't played.
He's not played, man. You can't say
he hasn't played. He's been on injured in July.
Oh, you've lost red.
As much as I love him, I've got to ask this. Right?
Yeah. How many goals has Solanke scored this season?
He hasn't played. He's not been even nowhere near the pitch. He hasn't played since July.
I've got to ask this, right? I love this player because I live in the town. Would you take Danny Welbeck?
No. What are we doing?
No, I'm asking Ryan. He said anyone.
Yeah, I'll take Danny Welbeck over Solanke at the moment. Yeah,
Jack, I know your opinion on Welbeck, mate. I'm asking Ryan.
So what are we even doing? Entertaining the conversation.
I would take anyone over Welbeck. I'd even take Dave over Solanke at the moment.
I'd have to
play.
do better than him.
He hasn't played, Ryan. He hasn't even put the ball to his foot yet.
Yeah, he hasn't put the shirt on yet.
But under Frank, hold on a minute. Under your magic, Frank, surely he can do better because Frank's magic and he's fantastic manager, coach. That's what you tell us. So surely he'll make Solanke better, no? Oh, quiet, are we? Oh, yeah, quiet. Yeah, I thought so, innit?
No, Mia. No, let's not start this, Mia, because I will fight you verbally with this all day long.
Yeah, go on then, quiet. Bring it. Come on then, bring it.
No, we don't want him to start screaming, please. Ryan, you don't need to scream, man. You don't need to scream.
Sorry. Right, we saw what he did last season, yeah? Right, he done absolutely nothing. Right? He's not even had a game this season. Right? So
injured. Because he's injured.
He's injured, man. How can he score goals for the season? He's injured, Ryan. He's injured. How can a player play if he's injured?
Dominic Solanke.
It's like, have you guys seen that jokey video of the goalkeeper where they kick him penalties up and he keeps saving them with body parts? They put him in a chair and he's like sellotape and everything.
Yeah, you might as well put Solanke there as well.
Poor old Dom. I know the guy isn't that great,
I think we'll maybe go around the horn on this one because I think, probably go for another 10 or so minutes, but it will probably take 10 minutes to do this. So we'll go around the horn on this. I think we'll just sort of ask the question, if they had the decision right now, would they basically sack Thomas Frank? Because you look at it this way, we're
Yes.
about a little bit over a third through the season. You know, would you bring in basically a caretaker manager for the rest of the season? Would you bring in maybe, of course, maybe who's available right now might not be necessarily ideal, but would you basically just look to bring in someone to sort of steady the ship? Because as much as it's uncomfortable and it can be a bit embarrassing, I think, to do that at this stage of the season, we've seen that it can work. Like, right, Sean Dyche, like Dave mentioned, he saved Forest from a basic relegation battle under Ange Postecoglou. Spurs, sacked Nuno. They were able to bring in someone like an Antonio Conte unexpectedly. It's happened before where you can bring in a guy to maybe steady the ship and maybe even better than you expect to. So I think we'll just go around the horn on this one because I imagine it'd take a while. Mia, I'll start with you since you're at the top. Mia, would you take someone right now? Just get rid of Frank and just bring someone in right now just to steady the ship, caretaker manager?
No, because I'm not fully Frank out, and I think that you need to give him, because this week, right, we've got the whole week to train before Liverpool, and if we get absolutely scored by Liverpool, I think then that shows obviously that his training methods aren't getting through to players, and I think you've got to give him enough rope, if that makes sense. I feel like he needs a bit more to show, to see if he can prove himself before I would say to get him out. I think that's reasonable. Like, I feel like I'm being reasonable about it. Despite what I say, I'm not actually saying Frank out. So no, I wouldn't. I'll probably let him have a bit longer.
I think you're being more reasonable than me, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't think with January as well. Like, I would go up to December and see how he gets on before I would either decide to keep him and give him January's window or not. I think that's enough time to see if he can turn the tide a little bit.
Okay. Brad, to you, would you bring in caretaker manager like a Robbie Keane, Brendan Rodgers, is available, someone that you would just hang on for the rest of the season, really? Maybe judge how they've done afterwards, but
no, I don't see the point. I mean, I don't see that Robbie Keane's going to make much difference, or Brendan Rodgers. I mean, a few years ago when we were in for Brendan Rodgers, everyone's going, "Oh no, don't get him." So there's no one out there at the moment that is available. Come the World Cup, there might be many managers available. We'll see, and by that time, we'll see where we finished in the league. We might have won an FA Cup. Who knows? So yeah, we don't know. The future is unwritten. So I don't see the point in making that change. We've done it so many times. We're a laughing stock. We're an absolute laughing stock by sacking our managers, and we've become that again if we sack Thomas Frank.
Okay. So you just think let him just see out this season and then judge him after that and then bring in someone in the summer? Yeah. Okay. We'll see if I think it's just a quick follow up on that. Like, if he continues to lose games, fans do sort of vote with their wallet, as well. And I do wonder, if the board will then make it a harsh decision, because they probably need to bring in someone that gives some sort of false sense of, maybe that we could actually be winning games, somewhat regularly just under someone else. But yeah, we'll see. Chris, I think I know your answer, but would you bring in a temporary manager?
It's difficult, Jack. I am Frank out. I want the guy gone personally. For me, he's not the right manager for Tottenham, and I've always said it from the start of the season. I didn't want him there. Yeah, I said it from the start. I didn't want him, and I'm going to die on that hill. And even if Ryan don't like me for it, I still want him gone. However, I think still, if you do bring an interim manager in, you've got Matt Wells there. I'm sure he could do the job up to the summer. He's a pretty decent coach, and he knows the players well.
Well, he might be off. Apparently, he's going to America to go and do he's going to be with the Kroenke-owned team, apparently, at Wales.
Well, if he does go, that is a shame, because he's a decent coach. But we do, Jack. What I've witnessed over the last three months now with Frank, it's just convinced me he's not the right man. So, me personally, I want him gone.
Fair. Jerome?
Caretaker manager, would you pull the plug?
If I could, yeah, I would. If there's any manager good out there, yeah, I definitely would, because I'm done. I don't want to see this anymore. But something I saw in the chat that I wanted to say. People are going, "Oh, Robbie Keane, what are we talking about?" Do you guys realize that Robbie Keane has taken Ferencváros, the team that everybody lost at? is now undefeated in Europa League under Robbie Keane. Ferencváros just realized how this team, like everybody was always like beating them like crazy. They are now undefeated under Robbie Keane. So let's put some respect on our man, Robbie Keane, because that guy is doing wonders with Ferencváros. So and they just beat Rangers in the Europa League. Let's start thinking. They beat Rangers. They beat Rangers and undefeated. So let's put some respect on Robbie Keane. But in terms of Frank, if I had the choice, if the club had the choice, there are always better people out there, I would say get rid. But unfortunately, right now, there's no one. There's no one. So I think we have to stick with him until the summer. We'll see.
Fair. Rainer?
No, let Corey go next and then I'll go last.
Corey?
I was hoping to go last. Well,
one he is.
What's the attraction in going last?
Well, basically, Frank was my 5th choice to take over from Ange. I had Joachim Low as my dream, but that didn't come to fruition, did it? I would give Frank to the end of the season, see what happens, and then reassess. This board replaced Ange, brought in Frank and his coaching staff at the cost of about 20 million. So they're not going to offset that after 5 months. Otherwise, you've literally paid 4 to 5 million a month to have this guy and his coaching staff here. It just makes financially no idea for them to do that, you know. If you're going to sack someone to bring someone in, who's going to do the job? There's not many top managers out there that want to come in, and we've become a graveyard team for managers.
The problem is, though, what I said earlier still stands, as in what I said backstage. You don't stick in a relationship just because there's nobody else to keep your bed warm. You don't say, oh, well, I'll just stay with them just because. I'm not saying it for that reason. Like, I don't understand this whole, but we've got no one better. There's got to be, if he's that bad, if he continues in the vein that he is, there has to be somebody that can come in and do better and just make it simple. Tell the players just to do something a bit simple and get them playing some football, because a lot of people ain't going to the games because they ain't going to go and haul their butts out in the freezing cold to go and watch that absolute nonsense that's being played on the pitch. It's not even football. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you mean,
you can't just say, oh, well, there's nobody else, we've got to stick with him. That's not what you do, man. You can't be just...
I'm saying there's nobody else. There's nothing of top quality to really go and grab until the end of the year. There's no top managers going to walk away from their club if they're doing well and go, I'm going to go to Tottenham now.
But did Martin Yole come in?
What are you left with?
But wasn't Martin Yole a second in command, and he come in and did right for us? I mean, there is always going to be someone out there, man. I don't believe that there's nobody.
I'm going
just
go get the Brighton.
If Tottenham believe they are that big of a club, January they would go to Glasgow and say, look, this is our plan. This is what we're planning to do. Please come to our club. Try and steal him from Crystal Palace. Like, if we are a big club, we should be able to do something like that. But
look, to
not
be fair
going to
to
happen.
Corey, he was asked for his opinion on it, and he gave his opinion. He wants to stick with him, and if that's that he's well with it.
I'm giving him to the end of this year, because when we first got him, I was like, I can get behind this guy because we've offset this kind of money to bring him and his coaching staff in. Now, in terms of how much after 4 months, you've basically paid 4.5-5 million a month to have this guy here and his coaching team. Yeah, I would give him till the end of the year.
The thing is,
I'd give him.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, Corey. I'm not disagreeing that you're allowed your opinion. I'm disagreeing with your logic behind it. The money, no other manager. Like, I feel like they're just reasons that we don't care about the money. If they have to pay someone else to come in, I don't really give a damn. That's the club problem, not me problem. If he's not doing good enough,
that's not a board problem. It's not what the board are thinking. They've offset 20 million sacking a manager, bringing a manager.
But now they're different. I thought they're now this all paying out, all seeing, all singing, all dancing. They don't know. They want what's best for the club now. If they want what's best for the club and he's not best, then they have to do what they need to do.
I still don't think at a board level nothing's changed here. We've cut one head off of the Hydra. We've still got 2 more heads to get rid of. Until this board have gone completely, Enoch out, the Lewises are gone. That's when I'll start thinking that this club might move forward. All the time that 2/3 of this ownership is still here from 25 years ago, the shadow still hangs over us. Unless they come out in January and go, yeah, spread that money when they should have done that in the summer. So if this ball proves to me in January this stuff gets done, then do it.
Yeah, well, look,
Yeah.
that's fair enough. That's
We'll
fair.
just have to wait and see. Yeah.
We've got this from Al Ben, and then we'll get Rhino. Rhino, you can have the spot that you wanted most, which is last. Al Ben says, having Sean Dyche looking like Pep tells me enough. And yeah, I think that's sort of where I'm at, Al Ben. To be brutally honest with you, look, I'll give my answer to Jack's question after Rhino. We'll actually get Jack to answer his own question for once on that one as well. But big up, Al Ben. I'll definitely come back to this. But Rhino, to honour Jack's question, you giving Frank time, or would you make a change?
No, look, right. I've said this straight from the get-go, and I'm gonna die on this hill for this season at least. Right? He's getting the free pass, like I've said, and people are gonna just keep jumping down my throat about it, and I really couldn't care. Right? Look, the reason why I'm saying this is because look at Arsenal. Right? They've given Arteta 6 years. It takes time, and do you know what else is so funny about this fan base? Right? We've been calling to give managers time. We've been calling to give managers time, right? And now, all of a sudden, we want to just get rid of a manager just like that. Come on,
right? I'm gonna fit that.
You didn't give any of the previous managers time.
I'm not having that from someone like you who chased the last manager out of the football club relentlessly. Don't sit here and try and be all-encompassing peacemaker. I'm not going to let that happen.
I don't think, and I think that's honestly, just quickly, Ryan, I do think that's wrong. Like, I think we didn't show Conte that much patience. We sacked him and the fans want him gone when he was in 4th. Same thing with Mourinho. We sacked him when he was in a cup final. There was a lot of pressure from the fan base on him before that. Like, that was the reason why the club was making those decisions. So you would say that, and Nuno as well. Nuno was given 3 games, and the fans wanted him out. So, like, all the previous managers have not been shown that much patience by the fan base.
Great,
all standing there ready to sharpen up pitchforks and knives on.
So it's only fair that Frank sort of received the same bit. I just think because he's your guy, now all of a sudden you're saying that.
No, because look at Arteta, man. Like,
he won an FA Cup on his first season. He won an FA Cup. He had money in the bank.
No, but on this, on this whole Arteta thing right now, it's the same with same with Alex Ferguson at Man United. They had the balls to change the culture by getting rid of the star players that weren't pulling their weight and pulling the academies, pulling players that have been loaned out, players that are hungry to get out there for their minutes.
Look what Fergie did every season.
1 second. Frank had an opportunity to do that. He didn't do it. He sent them all out on loan. And I don't see him having the balls to do that. These managers weren't just miraculously given time. They'd done something that changed their fortunes, and they went with it, and they had the bollocks to do it. Arteta wasn't just given the time.
Sorry.
No, go on.
See, I just don't
agree. Every season got rid of a top player if he got too big for his boots, yeah? Beckham. Yeah. Cantona was in for a bit and then got rid of.
Van Nistelrooy.
Pallister. He was above Giggs, and then Giggs the rat ratted him out at a party saying, it was all Pallister's idea. Like, come on. Fergie came in. There was a famous defender that he got rid of as well. Now that he's regretted after 20 years and come out and said, right, I made that mistake on the big Dutch bloke.
Yep, Stam.
Stam, yeah.
Defender, but like Fergie had the balls if players were getting too big for their boots to get rid of.
Beckham got the boot in his face.
Yeah, we're still.
Beckham got the boot in his face from
Davies.
My poor Becks, man.
We are comparing. Look, the thing is, we are comparing Sir Alex Ferguson to Thomas Frank right now.
No, we're not.
It's like,
I'm just using it as an opinion, like an idea.
We're not comparing.
This guy got rid of these players.
When people say, "Oh, look at Arteta, look what he's doing down the road," he was given time. He came in, he won an FA Cup off the back of a squad that was put together under previous manager. So he's showing he can get the best out of what was currently there. And then he goes, well, I'm not having a Aubameyang turning up late, despite him being club top goal scorer. He's too big for his boots, not the culture I need. When and bring in Nketiah, bring through Saka, bring through Smith Rowe, who's loaned out for years gone by. Sir Alex Ferguson got rid of a lot of, overpaid players, went down to the academy, brought through the class of 91. You look at Pochettino, you had the likes of Adebayor, Sigurdsson, overpaid players like that, not pulling their weight.
Hadley and all that.
pulled in Walker and Rose out on loan. Brought in Sonny, gave him his opportunity. He wasn't exactly a superstar. Well, Harry Kane was Tim Shower, to be fair, but he brought and he brought through players. At the time, he brought through the likes of Bentaleb, Mason, players like that. Upturning results happened, a different culture. Then he added some other players to it from other clubs, and the culture was set. If you want to play, you've got to play this. If not, he will oust you, and he has the power to do it. I don't think Thomas Frank is going to do that at Tottenham. I'm not being funny, but when you look at a lot of youngsters we found out on loan, I think this club is crying out for someone that's prepared to do that, in my opinion. Like, to answer Jack's question, like when you say, an intern, for me, I don't want to bring in an intern. I'm past that, beyond that. We've tried that with Mason, we've tried that with Stellini, and it sort of gets you through to the end of the season. But I'll be honest, every season matters for someone like me. Health complications, getting fat, getting old. Every fucking game matters. Every season matters. And for me, I only want to change because I don't think Frank will get us relegated. I don't. I think there'll be enough about him to be able to avoid the relegation. If we're going to change him, it's got to change him for a guy that we're going to back. I do understand, what Rhino's saying. I just think he's the wrong person to say it, considering he hounded the other manager out of the football club. But in general, you got Tyler out there and people like that, and Rain and people like that who are of the opinion that you got John Stokes. You got to get behind the manager, give them an opportunity, and back them. That's fair. But
David, in saying that, David, can I just say one thing? If you want to back the manager and say, give them time, you've got to see something that manager's actually doing.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. If people just stop speaking over me and let me finish, at the end of the day, he's not doing anything inspirational. He hasn't brought the fans along on a journey. He told them they were a part of the problem at this football club, stuff like that. So you don't have that guy that is inspiring people around him, that is commanding that, from the board level, that he has the bollocks to be able to oust one of the top stars if they're not pulling their weight and stuff like that. So if that guy is available and it comes, I would have no problem. I'll be the first one to change. I am not dying on Thomas Frank's hill because I never thought he was the solution or the right answer in the first place. And that's out there in video evidence. But I'm not going to get into anybody but Frank. I'm nowhere near at that territory yet. But I do take the point. If the right manager's out there, I do it. Look at Sean Dyche at Nottingham Forest as my prime example. The guy's walked in, upturning results, upturning performances. Many people question, could he play a better brand of football? And they slapped us up 3-0 yesterday. So, it's sort of like there are guys out there that can improve us.
Sam Allardyce.
And then Jack to answer his own question. We need to find out where Jack's at. You can't stir the pot and not answer it.
To be honest, I'm kind of at the point where not necessarily an interim, but I would consider looking around and offering the role to somebody that we feel like you could give a year's contract to. And if they're able to do essentially what Sean Dyche has done, because I feel like that's what has kind of shown is that as painful as it is. And I think it's embarrassing to sack a manager at this stage because it kind of just shows that you did get it wrong for whatever reason, whether it's the manager's fault or the player's fault, doesn't matter. Like, you clearly got it wrong, but you can bring in someone that can benefit from a manager bounce, but then just sort of turn things around. And then you look later down the road to then, sort of bring in somebody else. Like, I think a good example would be, not saying we would get in this guy specifically, but showing that it does work. The Sean Dyche one is a good one. But then Gary O'Neill, right, took over from Scott Parker and that Bournemouth team and then steadied the ship, was able to have them punch above their weight. And then they sacked him, crazy enough, and then brought in Iraola. So it shows that you can do something like that, where you can just bring someone in to just do better than what you have been. But maybe you don't actually have necessarily long-term plans or long-term vision with that guy either. You're just sort of bringing him in to get results. And so I'm kind of in that boat where if there's someone that maybe excites me, I'm not done a ton of research into it yet that's out there, but I would consider looking at managers that you feel like, straight away could deliver some results and then be able to sort of steady the ship for the club for the most part, because I don't know if this is headed the right direction, to be honest with Thomas Frank. I like Chris, I don't see any real positives of any kind at this point. We're now conceding goals at the same rate that we were under Ange Postecoglou, which is probably now my other biggest worry. So that's where I'm kind of at. If we can find someone that we think is good enough to give the job to for 6 months to a year, some type of contract like that, and then look to change them for potentially an even better manager that when they come available.
Okay, so can I just quickly ask Dave one question then? This is going to be this is probably going to be. I probably know what his answer might be, but I'm going to ask him anyway. If I said to you, right, Frank was to be sacked tomorrow, and we brought Southgate in, who would you choose?
I'd probably rather Thomas Frank. But the thing is, we're not confined to.
So
yeah,
then
but we're
what
not,
I'm going to say. So what I'm going to say is then
Thomas,
get the young manager.
But we're not confined to Gareth Southgate. Like, you can't present it as the only option. It's just not. Like, there's a whole world out there, stuff like that. So I mean, it's just I don't understand the question. It's not like Southgate is being lined up to come in.
No, but that could be the possibility that if we was to sack Frank, right, that would be probably the possibility, and that's why I've said that.
Yeah. Look, there's a small percentage, but I'd rather roll the dice. There's so many more managers out there than just being tied down to Gareth Southgate. I'd argue, just to Jerome's point, Robbie Keane is probably more in the front running for the job than someone like Gareth Southgate.
Yeah, and basically Southgate is another Frank, isn't it? Like, they're very similar in the way that their personality or lack thereof, like, they've got nothing about them. So I could do a better job than either of them.
I have a question for Ryan. Okay, you last season you handed Ange out. Yeah, you wanted Ange out. But what difference have you seen from last season to this season? Because stats will actually say that we're actually worse off under Frank this season when Ange had last season and he had all those injuries, all the defense centre backs out. So what is the biggest difference for you want to keep Frank? Because you hounded Ange out last season.
We're not playing kamikaze football for starters.
No, we're playing graveyard football instead. It's graveyard football.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was coming to. We were playing kamikaze football under Ange, but we were scoring goals. Our goal percentage this season is more or less half of what we've got this season. So there is a big difference, Ryan. I'm sorry, but this thing with dying on the hill with Frank, there's no difference from what Frank is doing this season to what Ange done last season. Because the stats will show that we're worse off this season than what we were at this point last season.
We'll let Ryan answer, and then I think we're going to plug channels.
Look,
I agree.
Fair argument.
Look, well, like I've said, right, I'd rather... No wonder why we scored so many goals last season, right? Because we was literally going kamikaze. This season, right, we're at least not trying to get beaten. We're not sitting on the halfway.
Yeah, but we're losing. But we're being beaten. And we conceded more goals.
We've only won 2 games in like the last 12.
Right, but Ryan, we've conceded more goals playing this way.
Yeah, but we're not going to, like I said, we're not going to lose 22 games a season this season, right? And that's fine, because I will take that. It's his first season. Let's get this ball out and let's get some decent players coming through the door, because that's the only way it's going to get better. We need to lose this ball altogether. We need to cut ties. It's like what Mia said, right? Except, like, I'm going to say towards the board instead. It's a toxic relationship between the fans and the board. That's who we should be hounding out, because this board is absolutely, I'm sorry to say, this is absolutely dog shit.
But you hounded out Ange. You hounded out Ange last season, Ryan. So you can't say now that people shouldn't say they want Frank out, because at the end of the day, last season you said you wanted Ange out. So there's no difference to what happened last season with you saying you wanted Ange gone to people this season saying we want Frank gone. But the stats will show, as I said, that Frank is statistically worse off this season than what Ange was last season, right? So at the end of the day, it's like this, right? You can't have it both ways. But Frank, this season for me, has not shown any intent. There's nothing there. He has actually physically shown us, Ange played kamikaze football, and we knew that was his style for 2 seasons. But anyway, Frank has not shown it. In those first 10 games when Ange took over, he showed his intent there. But Frank, in the first 6, these first games with Frank hasn't shown anything.
I think.
Well, at least we're not going to finish 17th this season. That's all I've got to say on the matter.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure? Because we might. If we do, then we. You know what I mean? Then what are you going to say? Then what are you going to say?
What I will say is we certainly won't be lifting a trophy at the end of the season either. So, stick that one there right on. Enjoy that one.
We will.
But look, I mean, we're already out of one, and it looks like we're struggling to get out the other. So, I mean, we'll see. Anyway, And we're way off the Premier League, so all intents and purposes, we're not winning one. But you heard it here first, Rhino. He said we will win a trophy this season, so we're reminding him of that at the end of the season. Make sure you don't go hiding. But look, we are going to end off the season because look, it is getting on in the evening, and everybody has dinner and family and different pizza pieces they need to do before they head to bed. So we go around. I know there's a few people that want to plug a few things.
Brad's channel.
Brad's here first. Brad, Christmas song.
Yes, yes. My Christmas song is out or uploaded onto YouTube now on the Blue Sofa Songs. It's the fourth one I've done. The first three were a bit comedic, a bit comedy. This one's a little bit more serious, but I'm hoping it's got a Christmas carol-like style that you can all sing along to. It's a pretty sort of simple song, but I'm pretty pleased with it. Check it out and see what you think. And thanks, guys, for letting me plug my channel. I'll be writing some new songs next year for sure.
Thank you, Brad. Thanks for being on here with us. Good to see your face.
No, good to be back. Thank you.
And if you want to spread the Christmas cheer, get across to Brad and make his day. Give the song a listen to and give him your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Big up, Brad. Great to have you back, my man. Good to see you back here in amongst us. We've also got Mia. What's the target you want to hit?
I'm actually now only 6 off 100, so that would be fantastic if I could get to that. I just do pre-record videos of reviews of the games, previews of games, any like bits and pieces of news. I do shorts, so yeah, just general Tottenham content over at Tottenham's Lone Wolf.
So guys, make sure you get over and check that out, and I'm sure there's 6 people here that would get across and smash the subscribe button and make me as Christmas, it'd be good for us. So make sure you get across and do that. And then we've also got Corey. What's going on here, Corey?
Well, this is mine and Phil's channel. This is not football. This is entertainment. This is gaming. This is comics, movies, TV, everything entertainment. So tomorrow we've got a Karate Kid special. We've done Turtles with Mr. Daigle. We did Star Wars with Phil. So, yeah, we've talked nearly everything nerd chic. I know Phil doesn't like that word, but I'm a massive geek. So come and watch us. We watch, we talk, and do everything entertainment. We did Stranger Things 2 weeks ago as well. So give us that a watch. That's fun.
Well, guys, make sure you get across if you're into movies, TV series, and I'll use Corey's word here, nerd chic. Make sure you get across and check out. He said he's going live tomorrow, so make sure you get over and check that out.
I will say, I'm trying to get Phil to let me do a Star Trek thing, but he doesn't like Star Trek, so...
he's a man after my own heart, so I fucking hate that program. But look, we'll call it an evening there. I want to say a massive thank you to all of you guys for coming on here and sharing your opinions amongst all the shit that's out there at the minute and the shit that we're in. So thank you very, very much. Really appreciate all of you guys that have tuned in at home. Hopefully one day me and Jack will actually get to speak to you live if you ever want to venture on here and have a conversation with us around the fan shows or that. I want to say a massive thank you to artist T, Sean Hurl, Rohan. We've also got John Stokes, Ian Ferguson, and then Steno as well, along with Al Ben. Really appreciate all the extra support for you guys. And we will be back here I think Wednesday and Thursday will be the 2 debate shows or panel shows this week. So make sure you tune in for them. And then the big game against Liverpool on the weekend, the last fixture before Christmas. Please, Tottenham, send me into the Christmas period happy for once. That's all I ask. And we'll see you all back here Wednesday. Have a good evening, folks. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Frank out. Come on, you Spurs.
Shake it all about.